This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne. Car Con Carne is a Q&A1 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne. Car Con Carne, sponsored by Easy Automation. Are you looking to transform your home, office, or business into a smart, seamlessly connected space? Easy Automation is a local business headquartered in Aurora that delivers custom automation solutions tailored to your lifestyle. Whether you're upgrading your home entertainment, streamlining your office tech, or enhancing the atmosphere in your restaurant or sports bar, they've got you covered. Their expert team designs and installs personalized systems from smart lighting and climate control to audio, video, distribution, and robust Wi-Fi networks, all managed through an intuitive app on your favorite device. Easy Automation makes technology work for you effortlessly, reliably, and always with your satisfaction guaranteed. Satisfaction guaranteed, Wonderlick. Visit easy-automation.net or call Dan at 630-730-3728 and take control of your environment today. Car Con Carne also sponsored by Exploding House Printing. They're here for all of your screen printing, embroidery, and other merch needs. If you're in a band, pay attention, especially if you're in Chicago, because these guys are located in Hermosa, and I want you to consider them for your t-shirts, merch, whatever. They focus on small business. They've worked with bands like Meatwave. They've worked with clubs like Empty Bottle. They've worked with The Music Box, Dante's Pizzeria, The Brokedowns. The list goes on and on. Jonathan at Exploding House has been doing screen printing for decades. He knows what he's doing. Besides technical expertise, he delivers production efficiency and cost awareness to offer boutique print shop quality at much lower large print shop prices. Check him out on Instagram at Exploding House, or check out their site at explodinghouseprinting.com for a quote or to see a list of some of their clients. And it is an expansive, impressive list. That all aside, we're outside underneath Western Avenue on the south side. This is where dreams come true. I'm joined by two guys who spent decades turning a smart, biting sense of humor into underground DIY favorites as part of Too Much Joy and later Wonderlick. We talked during the pandemic about Too Much Joy in a standard COVID-era Zoom chat, and now I'm sitting right in between Tim and Jay. Gentlemen, lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. I'm very impressed you have ads to read. That means you're a real podcast.
It means I've been doing this for like 13 years, and now I make enough to cover my basic expenses. That's it.
I'm just impressed we're meeting him in person. He's an actual human being and not just some AI avatar.
That's right. I gotta say, we did this thing on Zoom a couple years ago. Whenever I see the kind of 2-box video thing online, I have PTSD. I don't want to watch any of those interviews. It was perfectly effective for the pandemic. I don't ever want to do a virtual interview again. I get asked about it a lot, and if I can't do it in person, I don't want to do it. I shun those memories. But for the time, it was fine, and it brought us together.
That it did,
and it brought us under Western Avenue.
Yes.
So we are quite literally under Western Avenue at Blue Island Beer Company. Here is a Blue Island Beer Company beer as a proof of where we are, proof of life. Thank you to Blue Island Beer Company for the hospitality. As we're recording this, you are about to take the stage at Blue Island Beer Company as Wonderlick. This tour sounds bonkers. Can you explain the concept?
So the concept sort of started a year ago. We've decided it's all just one tour, even if we take 3 to 6 months off in between show 20 and 21. But we had put out a record called Undisciplined, and we wanted to promote it, but, we couldn't really afford to tour with a full band. So we're trying to figure out what we could do that, had a chance of breaking even or possibly even earning some money. And the notion of house concerts came up. So we checked out
what all the kids are doing.
Yeah, exactly. And, we're kind of not.
We before that whole viral house concert shit, what are they called? Car seat at the drive-in? No.
Car seat headrest.
No. What's the fucking band?
At the drive-in.
No, I don't know. Whatever. Some band's doing
fucking band.
Some band's doing viral house concerts, and it looks cool.
Oh, yeah. All-American.
Yeah, All-American Rejects. Sorry, All-American Rejects at the drive-in car seat. So, yeah, they were doing it. It went viral, but we were doing it first, although ours was sort of more acoustic and chill.
Yeah, well, so basically we just reached out to some Too Much Joy and Wonderlick fans and said, would you be interested in hosting a house concert? We're thinking about stringing together a couple of shows. And a response was like, there were so many people who wanted one. We were able to book like a 2-week mini tour of house concerts last year. And, we're in an electric amplified punk pop band. We didn't know how we were going to come across as in like a Simon and Garfunkel setting. So we were pretty fucking nervous about it. And right up until the very first house show last June, and literally from the first chord Jay hit, I knew it was going to work. And they are now our favorite things to do. They're so much fun. Even when you're playing to I think the most people we've played to in somebody's house was 50, right? Usually it's like between 15 and 30 is sort of the sweet spot. And so it was weird. Night after night, we were playing to like 20 or 25 people, but they felt like the biggest shows we'd ever done because the connection was so just close with
no trace of the fourth wall.
Not at all. Just the connection between me and Jay, between us and the songs, between us and the audience, between the audience and the songs. It was just a thing of beauty. And so now this year we're doing it for a month. And, we want to get to a point where we just never stop.
The description you guys sent me, call it MTV Unplugged meets a microbrew fermenter. Or if NPR's Tiny Desk grew up, got day drunk, and moved to the South Side.
Thank you.
I think that was ChatGPT.
I was going to say that's a day drunk Jay using ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think.
Do you use AI for stuff?
For that? Yeah.
In the future, you're going to do other interviews on the road. Just tell people you made it up. It's not like they can trace it back to Chat. You're going to come off like a genius.
Like, to be honest, I'm sure I went back and forth.
Yeah, as we've explained to many people on this tour, Wonderlick's art requires total honesty, and sometimes total honesty requires lying or omitting or altering facts in order to get at the real truth.
The new album is out. It's basically your Zeppelin 4. It's Wonderlick Goes to War, and a fine achievement.
Thank you.
Wonderlick was kind of created on a whim initially, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was created. It was intentionally trying not to be a project. It was an attempt by me and Jay to remember why we were friends and why we liked writing music. Too Much Joy hadn't stopped, but they'd sort of, frozen in place.
Too Much Joy sort of failed at the end, and then we just sort of stopped
doing anything. Yeah, but I mean, we're miserable.
We didn't break up. We just failed.
Just stopped.
Yeah. You say went up, and like
potato.
Yeah. So we were all we were cynical about the music business. We were angry at each other. I hadn't played guitar for like 5 years. Like I couldn't even look at my guitar. I was just sort of over it all. And then I forgot why.
I forget why, but we decided to meet in Santa Barbara and just spend a weekend getting drunk and writing songs. And we said, we're not going to shop them. We're not going to try to record them. We're just going to write, just to remember why we did this.
I feel like this is a story we hear time and again. Like you hit that trajectory, you go up, you put out the major label stuff, and you just disconnect from why you got together in the first place.
Well, the thing is, it becomes goal-oriented, whereas originally you're just making music with your friends because you want to please yourselves. But then, like, you want to get it on the radio, and then you want to sell a certain number. And so then you're competing with, other people in your genre, and it really changes the nature of what you do and why you do it. And so going back, we literally just went back to when we were 14. It was like, we're doing this because we feel like it. That's literally the only reason.
We found a motel on the beach in Santa Barbara, and the motel was called Hotel California.
So we had to book it.
We were like, okay, that settles it. We're doing this. So,
is there something or an aesthetic difference between what can be defined as a Too Much Joy song or a Wonderlick song?
I would say not in the writing stage, but in the studio, once we get to recording it, absolutely. So there are certainly songs that Jay and I have written together that could turn into Too Much Joy songs or Wonderlick songs, depending on who's going into the studio next. But once you're in the studio, the way of working is completely different. So Wonderlick tends to write in the studio, and not necessarily go in with fully finished songs. And the biggest sort of aesthetic change from Too Much Joy that Jay and I came up with kind of by accident was you're not allowed to say no. There's no shitting on somebody else's idea. You have to, if somebody wants to try something, you have to try it. Doesn't mean it makes the final mix. But nobody can say, no, that's a bad idea. You have to try all
I feel like that rule would keep you guys in the studio forever.
Yeah, well, I feel like we're also, we also have ADHD. We're pretty impatient. So,
but means you can try stuff. I think toward the end of the studio Too Much Joy stuff, we're also annoyed. It was like, oh, that's a stupid idea. Why did you even?
I just want to go home and watch Star Trek.
Yeah. So now it's kind of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was a trumpet on this end part? And then the other guy can't say, no, that's a stupid idea. We just have to like play a trumpet or synth the trumpet and see if it works. And we usually agree on, once we hear it, we're like, that was a stupid idea. Or, oh, that was actually cool. Let's put 2 trumpets on,
Tim, when you walk away from recording and writing and working on these songs to watch Star Trek, which series are you watching?
Well, I mean, it depends on, which ones got new episodes. So at the moment, it's Strange New Worlds. But I have not finished, I'm sort of slowly making my way through Discovery and Enterprise when there's nothing else on offer.
Oh, so you're hardcore. Like
reasonably
you've stuck with it for...
Yeah, reasonably. So I didn't watch all of Voyager at the time, and I didn't watch any of Enterprise at the time. So I'm going back to them now. But all the other ones I've watched from beginning.
Voyager took like 3 years to get good.
Yeah.
But Tim's a bit obsessive about anything he likes. So like, if he likes a band, he will then have to go search out every bootleg, every
writer, every people in that frame of mind. I get it. So every side project, every influence, every follower.
What's annoying about Tim, so much. But what's annoying about Tim is if I tell him about a band, I'm like, oh, you got to listen to this. He'll kind of roll his eyes and be like, yeah, I'll check it out. Whatever. That's for losers. And then like 2 years later, he'll forget that I mentioned this band. And then he'll be like, oh, I just got the box set and the bootleg.
This is funny. He's saying this because we're traveling with his daughter, who just the other day was talking about how annoying it is when she turns her father onto a band. And then months later, he says, hey, have you heard these guys?
Well, I got it from you, Tim.
Tim, are you a collector?
Oh, yeah.
What do you collect? Do you collect records? Do you collect...
Souls. Yes, I collect souls. No. So I would say I'm a collector, not a hoarder. And I'm married to someone who gets more joy than she should from throwing things away. So together we balance each other.
We are kindred spirits in that respect.
Yeah.
I'm at the point now where it's not that I'm necessarily sneaking records into the house, but I'm not being overt about it anymore. And I need Vaseline to get those new records on the shelf.
Yeah. For me, my main indulgence is, it's music, which mostly means LPs or CDs. It's T-shirts. And, I'm trying to cut down on recollecting the toys of my youth. But if I see an Evel Knievel toy, I'm buying it.
My new obsession is antique malls, which if you're touring America, I mean, you've plenty of opportunity to find those old Migos or whatever you're looking for. Are we going too far?
I mean, you guys enjoy yourselves. I can't keep track of anything but my sunglasses, phone, and my guitar.
You kind of touched on it. Being a musician in 2025, having gone through all that you've gone through, the stakes are different. The rules are different to what you're doing. I think at the end of the day, you just kind of need to be having fun.
Yes.
To sustain yourselves.
Absolutely. And so, there's this notion now that everybody's a brand, or you have to be a brand and you have to maintain your brand. And I would say Too Much Joy was doing that even before it was a thing that was necessary, just because it was sort of our personalities. But what we found on this particular tour, partly because there's a documentary crew following us around.
Which is weird, by the way.
It's very weird. Okay. But also because we're keeping a tour diary that we're publishing on a blog called Surviving the Golden Age every day. Everything feeds on each other, right? So them filming us changes what we sing about at night and how we sing it. And then that affects what gets written in the tour diary, which changes the perception of the next audience, which read yesterday's tour diary. Everything is part of our art. Our entire...
Wonderlick is sort of a giant living performance.
Ouroboros.
Yeah. It's It does feel that way more and more, at least for us. I mean, I'm not trying to be pretentious and say put us in the biennial, the museum. I'm not saying we should be in a museum. I'm just saying
The biannual museum?
the biennial.
Only open once every couple of years.
Or just cut that part.
I don't know that I want to.
Somebody listening will know what the fuck I'm talking about and say, oh, this is how you pronounce it. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's become its own thing. I don't know why.
Let's talk about the process that led us to a brand new capital A album, your Zeppelin 4. How long did this take to write? What was that process like? Was it endless back and forth in the studio trying to figure out what you want to do?
No, it came together pretty quickly, although it took longer than I thought it would. We started writing the songs on last year's house tour, so about half of them were written on the road.
Some people can't do that. They're not good at writing on the road. You guys can do that?
Yeah, I mean, we can write anywhere. Because there's no rules, really.
We sort of, when we feel it, sometimes in a hotel room after a show, sometimes we're waiting in a green room and I'm strumming and tuning and we start a song, and sometimes we set out and do it, or sometimes we're alone. Like it can happen anywhere.
Yeah. So in the middle of the summer house tour, between the East Coast and the West Coast states, we ran into a studio in Oakland and laid down 4 of the songs we'd written. And then I reached out to Dave Trumfio.
I was going to ask about
Chicago.
Dave Trumfio of the Pulsar's King Size Sound Labs. All around wonderful dude.
Yeah, and there was one of the new songs in particular, Vinko Bogotaj. I had sort of conceived of it as being like the Pulsars.
Which is wild that you would do that. I mean, the Pulsars, I think, are one of the great lost bands of the 1990s. One album to their credit.
Fucking love that record.
Love that record.
Yeah. And so, but we couldn't quite get the sounds, like we couldn't make it sound like the Pulsars. And so I'm Facebook friends with Dave. So I sent him a message with a link to our most recent record. And I said, hey, would you be interested in working together for a weekend? And if it, working on 2 or 3 songs, and if it goes well, then maybe talking about doing an entire album. And he wrote back, he listened to the album and he wrote back in all caps, songs. So I knew we were going to get along. So we went down for a weekend, and Jay and I knew halfway through the first day that he was going to do every song. So we worked out a deal with him where he recorded 10 songs, recorded and mixed and mastered 10 songs for us. And he did it at a greatly reduced rate. And once we agreed to, and we gave him a writing credit on the songs that he started, in his studio. And once we'd agreed on a flat rate, then all of a sudden he just wanted to take more and more time perfecting all the parts, especially his parts, the bass parts he was doing. And, so it worked out great for us. I think he wound up making like $5 an hour or something.
Yeah, Dave's wonderful. In fact, Pulsars will be on this podcast next month. They're doing a little Midwest run, and I'll be talking to Pulsars in Milwaukee in September. Love that band.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was maybe 4 long weekend sessions with him over the course of 3 months.
I love the fact that you reached out to him. I'm glad someone remembers the Pulsars. It's so fondly. Suffocation, Submission Song, Tunnel Song, Dust Lifeboat.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned Vinko. Slavic artist, ski jumper.
Yep.
This is what I've come to expect and hope for from you. Not your typical subject matter. How did that name even enter your head?
So I would say at this point, now that we've done 5 records, there are certain things that I hear about, I read about some historical fact and I get a little tingle that goes, there's a Wonderlick song in there. Yeah. And so Vinko Bogotaj was one of those. I was just thinking about Wide World of Sports and the agony of defeat, and the ski jump, the ski jump fall that you see when Jim McKay intones the words, the agony of defeat. And I just thought to myself, I wonder who that was. I wonder what happened to him.
And this reference may be lost on people who are even 10 years younger than us.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the millennials or Gen Z who are making this documentary have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Right. But anyway, so, and with Google and everything, you can learn everything you need to know about the guy that fell and represented the agony of defeat in a couple of minutes. And it's a fascinating story.
I love that you went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But that's what he does, right?
He lives in rabbit holes. But I would say, you say, oh, that's not a usual thing the songs are written about, and Vinko definitely not. But the themes and the feelings that represents, and what is humanity and what is defeat and what is winning, I'd say
it's universal.
Fine universal.
Yeah, I totally agree. Speaking of rabbit holes and history and all that, one of the best songs on Wonderlick Goes to War, Niagara Falls, 1969. I don't think many people realize that Niagara Falls was drained.
Yeah.
Back in 1969.
It's crazy. And it's not the only, and they're going to do it again.
That somehow missed my radar for most of my life.
Mine too. We only learned about it because we were on this house tour. We did a show in Lewiston.
Oh, this is a recent learning for you.
This was last June. We did a show in Lewiston, New York. Next show was in Youngstown, Ohio. So we drove right by Niagara Falls. We're like, what the fuck? Let's be tourists. We parked in the parking lot and went and checked them out. And they had an exhibit about what happened in 1969 when the Army Corps of Engineers came in, dynamited about 20 tons of rocks to dam up the American side of the falls, so they could do all this structural engineering because they were afraid that the rock face was going to crumble and then the site would go away and, the tourist attraction would disappear and the economy would be ruined. So they basically wanted Niagara Falls to keep flowing for another 12,000 years, so they turned it off. And what's amazing, there's all kinds of amazing things that flow out of that, like all the coins that they found. They discovered some skeletons in the rocks from some murders and suicides. But the best factoid to me is that more people came to look at no falls the day after they turned it off than had come the day before to look at the falls.
Because it was such an anomaly and such a curiosity.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
That sounds distinctly American. I Am a Children's Book, literally told from the perspective of a children's book.
Yes.
It's about time someone gave voice to a children's book.
Well, I mean, I think, and who better to advocate for an unread book than an unheard of van? I mean, it's really, I Am a Children's Book is really Wonderlick's autobiography.
Popping Pills is probably the most sing-alongable song on the album, which is kind of insidious to make that as catchy as it is. It's a darkly cynical song, probably emblematic of our...
We've always liked the idea of getting into earworming into someone's brain and then when they realize what they're singing, they're like, oh, fuck. I didn't mean to sing that. And like, that's something that we've always been fans of. And so, yeah.
Insidious. And Rhinoceros, this is about fascism. What makes that so topical?
So that, that's a weird thing about this tour. We're having a great time, but, we're going all over the country. And it's kind of weird that everybody's acting like everything's normal. Things are not normal right now. Shit is fucking scary. I was wearing a shirt that said, "This t-shirt kills fascists," in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're having dinner, sitting at a bar, and this other guy at the bar looks at me and goes, "I like your t-shirt." I was like, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "That's a bold statement." I was like, "Is it? Is saying I'm against fascism a bold statement? That's really worse."
And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reference obviously is lost on the guy at the bar who brought it up. Yeah, completely lost.
Of our references are lost at most guys at most bars.
Yeah, fair. But not Blue Island Beer Company, which is gracious enough to host the tour and this interview right now. Origin story in a summer of Fantastic Four and Superman movies. This is the one people really want. This is the one they've been clamoring for. Can you explain the documentary crew? Like, are you going to get like the Devo treatment or the...
Jay, do you want to...
They decided that they wanted to do a doc, and we said, sure, come along.
Yeah.
So do what? Obviously, they're fans?
Yeah. So last year, I was doing a tour diary, and Lucy, the director, shared the treatment that she wrote for this with us. And she basically explained that reading the tour diary made her feel like there was a documentary there, that she wanted, that there needed to be a visual component of the tour diary, that somebody needed to film it. And the way she described it was, the tone was very self-aware with gaping blind spots. So I think she wants to highlight all the blind spots.
I mean, you seem almost too well adjusted to be interesting documentary subjects.
It's very possible.
All right, so the album is available. As far as Too Much Joy goes, I mean, you still do some songs when you're on the road.
Oh yeah,
you pull them out. I mean, it's probably an expectation that you might.
There will be a Too Much Joy song, at least one in the set tonight.
Yeah, when requested, we usually throw one or two in the set, and
we'll play more if you write them down on $100 bills. Yeah,
which works.
Yeah, if people do it, that's weirdly.
Oh yeah, that's a good source of our income.
Yeah, Knoxville might be a fan of fascism, but it's also a fan of paying us $100.
Greasing the wheels to get what they want. Yeah. Wonderlick Goes to War is the new album. You are on the road as we're recording this in really the end of August. It's a great album.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting it out, getting past the finish line and out into the hands of the public. Let's talk about releases and how you get them into the hands of people. I know you're a fan of vinyl. You said CDs as well. Where does the Too Much Joy catalog stand as far as vinyl releases go?
So we just got the rights to Son of Sam I Am just reverted to us in July. So a reissue of that will be coming out on CD on Halloween. If enough people clamor for it, we'll press some vinyl, but we haven't planned for that at the moment. There are 24 bonus tracks. I think there's 9 bonus tracks on the CD and then another 17 maybe on the digital version of the album. So there's a lot. And there's an oral history of the making and marketing of the album. We had to pay, basically the booklet cost more than the CD.
Which is really cool though.
Very Too Much Joy.
When you go back and listen to an album that is a few decades old like that, do you hear the imperfections or do you think, oh, that was cool that we were able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the weirdest thing is the older you get, the more of a different person you are. So it's really just going, oh, that's who I used to be.
I get that.
That's weird.
Yeah, you're not bothered by it. You're just like, oh, okay, that was that moment.
Yeah, it's and the thing is it's like, oh, that kid hadn't learned these things yet. Oh, that's embarrassing for him.
Like some of these things could be how to sing, play guitars, what music is supposed to sound like.
It's part of your charm. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.